We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the SloopCast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing right, Jared. How are you doing today?
Doing good. We're doing 2 episodes this week. Everyone gave us a bunch of AskSloopCast questions.
Is this fall season already?
No, I told everyone in the Discord because we had some good questions in there, but I knew we were going to be super busy doing the Monday episode. So I said, hey, if you guys throw some more good questions in there, we'll do a dedicated AskSloopCast episode. And they did. So we're fulfilling a promise.
All right. Let's go into the AskSloopCast here. Let me scroll up because we haven't done this in a hot minute, right?
They should all be pinned, I believe, if you look at the pinned messages.
Yes. Yep. I don't know if I want to go that old. Let us go here.
I may not have unpinned some.
Yeah. This is especially true after Saturday or Sunday night's win. Austin asks, "Hey, was Holtman the problem?"
I'm not going to say that. This team always tended to pull off some wins at the very beginning of the season and the very end of the season. That's a very Holtman thing to do. Now, don't get me wrong. Gene made the correct move in letting Holtman go. Kyle and I have advocated for that for a couple seasons now. Jake Diebler is the Brian Hartline of basketball. Well, if this were John Diebler, we could have that conversation, but it's Jake. It's Jake Diebler. And also great win against Michigan State.
Yeah.
But let's not get excited. We still need to go get an experienced college basketball head coach and bring someone in here to revitalize the program. With all due respect to Jake Diebler, I hope he stays on staff. I want him here. But let's go get an experienced college basketball coach to come in here and revitalize Ohio State basketball.
All right. Got another question here. With updated early signing news, could we see kids foregoing their senior seasons to redshirt?
Foregoing their senior seasons to redshirt? I don't understand that question. Wait, you mean high school senior seasons? Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that's what he means here. Could we see kids foregoing their senior seasons to redshirt?
He means high school senior. Because I think one of the proposals was like a very early, like a July, so like a before the season early signing period. Like, not only do we have an early signing period in early December, but also one that would come before the season even started. So could they, because like we've kind of seen this, where a player will reclassify. Yeah. So, I mean, the answer to that question is we've already seen it. That's the answer to the question. We've already seen it. It's just they wouldn't be reclassifying in this case. They'd just be signing even earlier, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, yes, we could see that.
Yeah. Kabuto asks us, how much money would it take Jared and Kyle to sell the rights to the SloopCast IP, including the pod, the Patreon, and the Discord server?
How much you got? Listen, we don't do this for the money. Our Patreon money is public. It's not much. What it would cost is a lot more than it's worth. I'll tell you that much. Because it's not worth that much. 100 million. Yeah, we're done here. Yeah.
Yep. Goodbye, guys.
Yeah, we're done here.
We'll become a Patreon now.
Yeah. For Kyle only, then I'd have to say no. Actually, in all honesty, I would say yes to that just because I like Kyle, and I'd be like, sure, Kyle can have $100 million. He'll slip me some. He's a nice guy.
And then Zach says, as a follow-up, if Fox offered you a contract which would give you Gus and Joel as a recruiting guest host spots, would you take it?
Recruiting or recurring?
No, you're right. Recurring guest.
Yeah, neither of them are
spots.
Recruiting guys.
Yeah. You're right. Yes.
I mean, wait a minute. So what's the, like, we'd be affiliated with Fox Sports and we'd get access to
Gus and Joel.
Like, why would we say no to that? With all due respect to Buckeye Huddle, who we love, and we love being a part of the Buckeye Huddle network, like Fox Sports would actually pay us probably. Not to say the Buckeye Huddle should pay us. That's not what I'm saying. We have our deal and we're happy with it. But like Buckeye Huddle doesn't like pay us a salary to do this, and nor should they. Don't get me, I'm not suggesting otherwise. But if we'd be working for Fox Sports, they'd actually probably like pay us per episode. They'd also give us an enormous platform. I mean, yeah, why would we not do that? Did he say we have to sell the rights to do that? Like, would they own SloopCast? He didn't say it?
Because it sounds Zach. What was that? Zach's in the chat here. Maybe he can reply. But he said as a follow up to Kabuto's about.
Oh, okay.
About selling the rights.
Okay, so in this scenario, we have to give up the intellectual property of the SloopCast. Well, again, like at that point, it just comes down to money. Like we did a spot for Bleacher Report last year. They paid us to do an episode on their platform and we did it and it was fun. But if you're going to ask me to 6 years, 25 million. Yes, of course. That's more money than I would make in the rest of my life. Easy. We would have to, I mean, I'd get to quit my day job and just do the podcast at that point. Sellout. Yeah, 100%. 100% a sell. And not only that, I would talk about exactly what they wanted me to talk about for that amount of money. I would give up all of my integrity for $25 million. All of my integrity gone. Right. You want clickbait? I'll give you clickbait. You want bullshit topics that don't matter? You want me to stir up drama and be a total dickhead? Yeah, I'll do it. My soul's worth 25 mil. Oh, wait a minute. Kyle gets half of that. I've not that I've watched RJ Young much before or after, but I don't think his content has changed much. Again, I didn't watch him a ton before, but I did watch him some before, and I didn't watch him a ton after, but I have watched him some after. I don't think he's changed to his absolute credit.
All right, we got another question here. This is from Izachapa. If Netflix could make one documentary on one of any Ohio State game ever, which would you choose and why? A lot of great games you can choose from. You could choose that. You can choose that 2006 number 1 versus number 2 matchup of the game. That's I think that's up there. You could choose maybe the what is that? The 2000 and what was it? 2000 and what was that? 16 was it or 17? With the walk-off victory. Which year was that?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, Kyle.
The
You've only mentioned the
double
year so far.
The double overtime game.
Oh,
Ohio State and Michigan.
The Curtis Samuel touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on which year that was. I think that's another one you could put as well. But if it was me, just because the first year of the playoffs and finally getting that hump over the Ohio State can never beat an SEC team, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's the Ohio State versus Alabama game.
Yeah. It's probably that game. And everyone would be like, oh, but that wasn't the national title game was Oregon. Okay. And the Miracle on Ice was also the semifinal.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Ohio State. The USA then had to turn around and beat, was it Iceland? I don't remember. See, I don't remember is the point. The point is we beat Russia, but only thing that got us, what Finland, Spikes says. Finland, Spikes knows, it was Finland. And Finland was also really good. Was Russia better? Sure. But the documentary's not about Finland now, is it? It's about the Miracle on Ice. It's about beating Russia. And I know this isn't the question, because the question was Rocky IV and shit. Yeah, exactly, Spikes. This isn't, I know the question is which singular game. But to me, that entire 4-game stretch at the end would actually make an amazing documentary. You have the drama of losing a quarterback, of a new quarterback coming in, Urban Meyer's fresh in the locker room. So you have that storyline. I almost don't want to say this because I don't want to trivialize this as like a storyline, but it is a thing that happened. Costa Cara George goes missing, and then he's, unfortunately took his own life, and that's horrible. And I don't want to trivialize that as just like a storyline in a documentary. Please don't mistake me on that. But like that 4-game stretch is rich in storyline. Even if you don't talk about Costa Cara George, it's rich in storyline. You lose your starting quarterback, you beat Michigan. Urban Meyer's, for the sake of the documentary, you kind of imply that it's his first year there just because it makes a better story. And if you did the entire season, you even have the fall to Virginia Tech, which adds like a whole other thing. This team sucks. Oh my God, they're barely beating teams in September. This team's terrible. And then the rise. Because that's what makes the good story. Like, every hero journey has a death and a redemption. And a death and a resurrection, as like every hero's journey, right? It's the hero's journey shit. I think the Big Ten Network owns the rights to that story. I'm sure they do. He said Netflix documentary. This would be on the Big Ten Network, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
although the playoff games happened on ESPN, so maybe it's a 30 for 30 in conjunction with the Big Ten.
So would that be your game then as well?
I mean, I cheated and picked like 4 games that happened concurrently, but I mean, yeah, that's the storyline. In my opinion, that's the storyline. This is going to be a shorter episode.
I mean, you could also say, I mean, a lot of us don't really think too much about the 2002 or January 2003.
Sure.
Ohio State versus Miami, when no one gave Ohio State a chance. No one did.
See, and that one is like some Miracle on Ice stuff there, right? Miami is Russia, and my question And again, if you did the entire season, because that entire season hung on a string.
Whole season was stressful.
But does anyone outside of Ohio State care that much? Because I think objectively 2014 is a good storyline. And I think 2002 is a good storyline if you're an Ohio State fan. And I think that's the difference, in my opinion. That's the difference. I think 2014 is objectively the good storyline, even if you're not an Ohio State fan.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on here. We have
Kyle, real quick. This is gonna be a short episode, so I'm gonna do an ad break right about here. Okay. If you want to avoid these ad breaks, go ahead and join our Patreon, patreon.thesloopcast.com. You get early access to episodes. You get premium access to the Discord server, and maybe most importantly, you don't get these annoying Spreaker ads. So avoid the ads that are starting now. Okay, Kyle. What else do we have in the mailbag?
Z Spike says here, what is your all-time favorite Ohio State game that wasn't a bowl game, playoff game, conference title game, or a Teton game?
Ooh, that's a lot of... Oh, Spike's had this one ready to go. For instance, one of my favorite... He writes in the chat right now. For instance, one of my favorite regular season games was 2001 night game against Northwestern. One of my first night games in the Tressel era, we were unranked and they were ranked 14th. The atmosphere in the shoe was nuts. We stomped them and it truly felt like sleeping Ohio State giant had awakened. Yeah. I mean, that was Tressel's first year, as you alluded to. It helps as far as it just being, it's very irregularly is a singular game all that important in the grand scheme of the history of a program, especially since you removed postseason games and games against Michigan. It's hard to find a game with great significance once you remove all those, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're looking for games with great significance, the Holy Buckeye play and game against Purdue comes to mind. Weirdly, Virginia Tech in 2014. If we don't lose that game, we don't win the national title. As weird as that is to say, I don't think we win the national title if we don't lose that game. Zeke's run straight to the heart of the South. He said no playoff games. He said no postseason games. I mean, that...
Well, yeah. If you want to do going through the heart of a defense, I'm going to go way back, Jared.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
29 years ago.
I think you're thinking what I'm thinking.
29 years ago.
I think you're thinking what I'm thinking. Oh, so you're going Eddie George against Notre Dame. Wasn't Michigan State his big game that year though? Eddie George. Illinois. Thank you. Spikes.
It was Illinois.
Yeah.
Illinois. Yeah.
It's not as fun because it's Illinois and beating Notre Dame.
Illinois was
not.
Was Illinois good that year though?
I mean, by Illinois standards, they were good. If I'm thinking correctly, and maybe they weren't even, but like it's still like not good, but it's Illinois good, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I think that's so. It's like, historical games are good when you set records or when you beat a team that you don't get to play too often. Yeah, it's always fun. Let's see. what other like non-postseason, non-Michigan games? I, I'm struggling, Kyle. I'm struggling to think of more. JT Barrett comeback against Penn State is a good one. Oh crap. Who was it against? Was it Indiana when Kenny G had to come in middle of a snowstorm, lead the team back? What season was that? And what am I thinking of? Purdue. That one was Purdue. That's a good game. Yeah, it's a great question. I wish I had put some thought into it before we recorded. I mean, there are obviously some very good answers. The IU game was 52-49. Yeah. We beat Texas in Texas.
That's actually a good one too. What was that? 2006? Was that? That was a good one. Yes, I remember my dad talking about that for a long time.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there are definitely some good ones. A lot of them are going to be games where you set records, games where you got to beat a team that you don't get to play too often. Those will always be important. Comebacks are always fun. Would that have been Baby Colt? Oh yeah, it would have been, because they beat us. Yes. Then they won the national title. Then we beat them back the next year. Is that how that played out?
Yeah. So I think that was 2007 then.
Because they beat us because Vince Young was just unstoppable that year. They beat us here
in 2005, and then we beat them in 2006 then.
Yeah. And we had that game for a minute.
Yeah, it was 25-22 was the final score, and Texas scored 9 points. They scored.
We had some quarterback issues that game, if I'm remembering correctly.
That's right. So they scored a touchdown with 2.5 minutes left. Ohio State took a safety.
Yeah.
Took a safety to try to get an onside kick, and that didn't succeed.
It was Troy Smith's first game due to suspension, but he wasn't. Yeah, but he was also splitting time with Zwick. That was the thing.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
I feel like
bad.
we could have won that game if Troy Smith was the only quarterback playing, but who knows? You never know. Because again, Vince Young was incredible that year. So it's hard to tell. Kyle, do we have any additional questions? Or do you have any additional games you want to bring up?
I think those were some of the good ones I could think of there. Let's go through a couple more questions here. What is your favorite social screen game we've watched the last couple of years?
Ooh, favorite socials. So we don't watch Ohio State games too often. And I know he's not specifically saying Ohio State.
Oh, God.
We did watch the Utah Ohio State Rose Bowl, where CJ Stroud just went absolutely crazy. We got our first glimpses of Marvin Harrison Jr. as a freshman. And then of course, it was just an absolutely,
that might be,
that's the first one that comes to mind. a lot of times when we're watching social screen games, we're watching a bunch of different games. Yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigba, of course, had an enormous game that game.
Mm-hmm.
CJ Stroud, Marvin Harrison Jr. had an enormous game that game. He had 2 touchdowns in his first ever start. So it was a real passing of the torch moment. You know, we didn't know that was going to be our last look at Jackson Smith and Jigba because he basically didn't get to play at all the next year, but it was basically our last look at him. Notre Dame was pretty crazy. We decided to watch some action just to calm down. Yeah, I remember that. Social screens are like, I know I already plugged the Patreon once, and one of the best reasons to join is every Saturday we watch one of the, there's like 3 main windows of college football: your afternoon, your midday, and your evening games. We pick one of those windows every week and we watch, a game or sometimes multiple games together. I think that is probably one of the best benefits that I think is probably one of the best benefits of being a patron is those sessions. It is pretty fun, Spike says. I think because like those don't get recorded. Those only exist in that moment. Of course, being a patron, you get to be, you Spikes and Zach are in here talking right now and you get voice privilege. Yeah, that's why we don't record them, because everyone's talking and sometimes people say some shit. That's why we don't record those.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because like you get early access to episodes if you're a patron, but everyone gets the episodes. But the social screens are like literally just for us, and they don't exist anywhere outside of that moment. We did do a social screen episode. I don't think we did do that, but we did it as a, we did record an Ask Sloop or a social screen, but I posted that that was a Patreon exclusive. That wasn't posted to the general public. That was a SloopCats only, and it wasn't even a football game, was it? Wasn't that like a basketball game? But yeah, I did record one of them, but I didn't release it publicly. It only went to the Patreon.
Yeah.
So
last
again, only
here.
existed for the patrons.
Last question here. Will Netflix acquisition of Monday Night Raw starting next year make wrestling great again?
No. It will not. I haven't watched wrestling since 2020. Bray Wyatt has unfortunately passed away, and he was kind of my guy. Undertaker's retired. I have no interest in going back to wrestling. When it comes to what the biggest thing is with, they don't have to worry about ratings anymore on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And as much fun as it kind of was to not have to do pay-per-view anymore, because all of the pay-per-view stuff went to the WWE channel. And then after that, and then it eventually went to Peacock. But when they stopped having to sell a pay-per-view, the pay-per-view started to suck. When they didn't have to encourage people to actually pay for them, the pay-per-view started to suck. And I think one of the benefits of moving Raw to Netflix is the ratings are no longer public, because Netflix doesn't release numbers. And I wonder, is there still going to be motivation to make it good, because it hasn't been. Listen, if the WWE gets better, it won't be because of Netflix, and it'll just be because Vince McMahon is officially out of the picture. That's the only thing that'll make it good.
Gotcha.
That's it. Vince McMahon. Yeah, it's maybe if they're not chasing ratings, they can sort of start doing some long-term storytelling again, which is not a thing that they've done with any quality in a very long time. I don't know. It became a product that was hard to support after a while for many reasons. Vince McMahon being one of those big reasons. But also just like, I don't know. It was just, I'm not going to wax poetic about the WWE. No one cares. No one cares. That's all I'm going to say. No one cares about my opinions on that.
That's all the questions that we, that's all that we have for the, for the AskSloopCast questions there.
All right. Yeah, I think that was a good episode. We haven't done like a straight up AskSloopCast in a minute. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that. Yeah, I think that's it. That's the end of the episode. In a year, I think? No way.
Yeah,
no way that's true.
We've done more recent. Way more recent.
No way that's true.
Definitely
no way
not in a hot minute, but
no way we went all the way through the wasteland without doing an AskSloopCast episode. That's not possible. That's not possible. All right. That's it. That's the end of the episode. Kyle, you look like you were going to say something. No?
No, I'm going to let you do your thing.
Well, okay. Do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
Yeah, it's more related to about what you're wearing, Jared.
Ah, yes. Columbus Crew.
Yeah. Cruisemas came and start off the season as with a win to start their season here.
Over Atlanta.
I don't expect Atlanta to be all that good this year. Could have been 2, could have been 3-0, but it's first game. You get the 3 point. You get the 3 points. That's what matters.
Listen.
Burn Atlanta to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Every once in a while, someone from Ohio burns Atlanta to the ground, and that's always a cause for celebration. We're Team Sherman in this Discord server, in this podcast.
Where's it at here? I don't know if you saw it, Jared. I want to copy the picture, copy image. Here we go. Let's put that into the live chat here. I don't know if you saw this, Jared. It was really, really well done. As soon as Discord decides to show it, there we go. Very well done.
Yeah, run it back.
Yep.
Impossible is
it? Let's run it back. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, we can do it again.
The original black and gold.
Huh? I mean,
because the whole LA is saying, "Oh, we're the black and gold," and the Crew's like, "We're the original black and gold team."
Well, I mean, the Steelers might have something to say about that.
Of MLS.
Okay. Actually, of course, the Pirates are even older than the Steelers, so the Pirates might have something to say about that.
Yeah. That's it. That is it. Gotta give a shout out to the Columbus Crew, the 3-time MLS champs.
Soon to be 4. The Pirates do suck. That's a factual statement. That doesn't change the fact that I'm going to go ahead and say they're the first team in the United States to wear black and gold. Do I know that's true? No, I don't. Am I going to say it anyway? Yes, I am. That the Pittsburgh Pirates were the first black and gold team in the entire United States. Someone tell me I'm wrong, and I may or may not listen. I don't care. So with all that being said, I'd like to, oh, wait a minute. Music, Heart Attack Man. We ended Monday's episode with some Heart Attack Man. We'll do some more Heart Attack Man on this episode. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, Heart Attack Man.